Bapak Ibu undangan yang terhormat, kita masih akan melanjutkan agenda kita di mana kita masih akan ada satu pemaparan materi lagi dengan tema Auditing While You Sleep. Yang tentunya akan disampaikan oleh Bapak Das Lim, Head of Enterprise Business Diligence. Kepada Bapak Lim, kami persilahkan.
Test. Hello? Can you guys hear me? No, it's not. Hello? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hold on, I need a clicker to... Right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. How's everybody? Good to hear that. Well, I have the very nice job of being the last person here. I'm standing between you and the Bali sunshine. Not your favorite person right now. I do apologize first. I'm not bilingual. I can't speak Bahasa. So this session will be in English. If I speak in Bahasa, all I will be talking about is ayam penyet, babi gulang, or the good food. By the way, also thank you very much to IAA for having us here as well today. Thank you very much. And the lineup was good. What Park Brian just presented actually leaves out very well. He was talking a lot about the importance of automation, digital transformation, and that's what we do instantly as well. So today I'm talking about a very important topic, auditing while you sleep. Who here likes to sleep? So little people. Really? One more time. Who here likes to sleep? Who here gets enough sleep? Yep, that's what I thought as well. So, people get more and more busy, especially with pandemic. People are faced with burnout. Increasingly, when you try and hire young auditors, they want more and more work-life balance. How can we continue to audit while we sleep? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I think I was introduced by the team earlier on. I'm not going to go too much to talk about myself here. Today I'll talk about 4 things. A few years ago, 2-3 years ago, KPMG did a survey about what is keeping audit committees awake up at night. I will then talk more about how you can do more with less time, how you actually implement different programs to ensure that, and then of course from there, if there's questions, etc., I know it's a big crowd, but if there's enough time, I'm happy to take a couple of questions as well. So, show of hands, right? I mean, this is the last session here. Let's keep this interactive. I know just now everybody likes to sleep. Nobody gets enough sleep. Why? Anybody here can't sleep because you drink too much coffee in the day? Too much caffeine, etc.? Anyone? Or the good luwak coffee here in Bali? No? Anyone here don't sleep enough because of Netflix? Sometimes. I can't be the only one, don't lie, come on. Anyone here can't sleep well because of audit issue management? I hear this a lot from customers. Anyone here? Okay, I see a few hands, not that many. Anybody here is kept awake because you want to ensure the accuracy and the integrity of your organization's financial reporting? Is that something that's a concern to the team here? Anyone? Okay, I see a few hands there. Seems like there's more on issues. Anyone here is worried about cybersecurity and your ability to audit your IT controls, your cybersecurity controls? Is that something, I see a few people nodding heads as well. That is fine. I see another hand there. That is good. And then, of course, anyone here can't sleep because of a young baby at night? Again, that is me. So, anyway, back to the KPMG survey where they surveyed, I think, about 2,000 people, 2,000 audit committee chairmen from around the world on what's actually keeping them awake. And the results were kind of expected, kind of not expected. Sorry, it's supposed to just come out as one, but the first thing being that the thing that keeps the board up at night is to actually ensure that the firm is able to maintain a high quality financial reporting, accurate financial reporting. That's the number one thing that keeps them up at night. All of these people, 32% of them, said that they are actually planning to use data and analytics to help that process. Another 27% of them are looking at plans to leverage data automation, robotics, other technology to help them. The second thing being cybersecurity and regulatory compliance as well. So that spoke to the point earlier on. These days, we see more and more security breaches. We see more and more hacks. We saw Optus in Australia recently having a big data breach issues. We see Marriott, IHG, oh, sorry, I'm in a Marriott hotel. Shouldn't have said that. Having issues as well. As we speak, some of you will have colleagues in Isaka, in Jakarta right now, and this will be a big topic for them, no doubt about it as well. There's also more and more concerns about how their auditors are able to keep track and manage emerging risk, disruptive risk. This could be technology. Over the past 12 months, we saw a few things. We saw the Russia-Ukraine war that came from nowhere. We saw what the Fed used to call transitory inflation, but really it's just crazy inflation now. We see rising energy prices, higher interest rate, and we see a lot of instability, supply chain issues, etc., etc. How does audit have the time to manage all these emerging issues? And lastly, of course, how do we maximize internal audit? Often, internal audit is seen as the policeman of the organization. But how can they maximize their value to then, to Pak Brian's point earlier, be a strategic advisor to the organization as well? But from these takeaways, let's make a few assumptions. Let's just assume that today most of internal audit's time is very much focused on financial and regulatory compliance risk. And I believe that to be the case for most of the audience here as well. Assuming you have a certain number of hours per week, this is an assumed allocation. You're probably going to spend 40% of your time on financial risk, 40% of your time on regulatory compliance risk, and only 10% of your time on strategic risk, and 10% of your time on emerging risk. That's what we have been doing for the past 20 years. What if we want to flip it? We want to provide more value. We now want to enable auditors, we want to enable you to actually focus more of your time on strategic risk and emerging risk. Sounds great in theory, right? But, sorry, how do I go back? I can't go back? Okay, never mind. So, what do we do then to give you that time to actually do that? Because we know the audit committee is still concerned about financial risk. They are still concerned about compliance risk. That does not change. The answer, and that was covered earlier, is to automate that 40% process so that then becomes 10% each. We take away as much of the repetitive and mundane work that needs to be done on those areas, automate them to give you more time to focus on strategic risk and emerging risk. And with those risks, we give you more ability, we empower you, right, to take advantage of data, of human insights, to provide more strategic advice to your organization as well. But effectively, what I just spoke about is to expand the scope of internal audit. So the question now being, how can we cover more risk areas, but still sleep more, hopefully not less? The answer lies in three things. This is very, very similar to what Pak Brian had earlier on, so I'm not going to repeat too much those. Continuous audit, driving audit efficiency. We call it combined assurance. Integrated assurance is pretty much the same thing as well. How do we do this? I think it's the how bit that is more important, right? The first thing when we look at continuous audit, there's really three core pillars to enable continuous audit. Continuous data audit or continuous data assurance, continuous controls monitoring, and what we call CRMA, continuous risk management assessment. Just starting off with continuous data assurance or continuous data audit first, right? The fundamental purpose of this is to allow organizations to take advantage of CATS 2, right? So, oh, I forgot to say something. I'm from Diligent. I think when we talk about CATS, a lot of you will have known software like ACL. For example, I see a nodding heads here. We are actually ACL. So Diligent actually acquired ACL about a year plus ago. So now when you see our booth out there, you saw Diligent. We used to be ACL. So I myself, I was actually from ACL in the past. And so also, CATS 2 like ACL, for example, to verify the integrity of your data. And more importantly, to continuously monitor your transactions, we look for different exceptions, different characteristics within your transactions. We look for potential split PO, duplicate invoice, and so on and so forth. That is not new. But what we also want to be able to do when we do that is that we want to automate the continuous auditing and monitoring process through the power of robotics to allow you to schedule the data extraction, preparation, analytical process so that the auditors don't have to do that day in, day out. The robots take care of that for them. Once the analysis is run, we want to be able to automate the triggers to yourself, to different auditors, to different stakeholders. There's a lot of very big local conglomerates here. I know we have friends from NPM and some of the other conglomerates here. When you actually find a potential risk or exceptions, who should follow up on it? Right, so the ability to actually set those automated triggers, that's very important for you to be successful as well. And of course, at the end of the day, to allow you to have a real-time dashboard reporting of all the different controls that you might have to drive your audit. Continuous risk monitoring and assessment. So this is a process where we want to continuously allow organizations to constantly identify, assess, and manage that risk they have. I will look at this from an audit angle, from the point of view of an audit, right? We have a customer, very big retailer with about 5,000 stores, give or take. They have a team of about 40 auditors. How do they decide which store to audit, right? So they usually plan it on a 3-year cycle. Good practice. But the problem with retail is that it's a cash business. If there's any issue, any fraud, by the time you go back there 3 years later, the perpetrator is gone. Very big problem. So by doing continuous risk monitoring, we enable audit organizations to stay, the keyword being more agile as well. You have audit resources that has been predetermined for different processes, different business units. That is fine. But you're also able to stay agile where if there's any emerging risk that happens throughout the business, straight away you're able to make audit plans and decisions within weeks, not years. That allows you to respond to emerging threats quickly. But also very importantly, right, you're able to audit areas that matter. You're not just going somewhere, do the audit, or come back, no finding. Not the best way to spend time, right? We want to audit areas that matter. At the same time, for the auditees, we want to avoid what people call audit fatigue. A lot of auditees don't like to see auditors. I'm sure I don't like to see my auditor when they come and look for me. So we want to do things that's really impactful, that really matters as well. And that's what our CRMA can help you with. And then we look at continuous controls monitoring. Wouldn't dive too much into this. This is very similar to continuous audit or continuous data assurance. The main difference being that this tends to not be done for auditors, but rather there tends to be two-way this falls. One being that audit use this to provide an early warning system to management, or B, audit actually start building out their framework and pass this off to the first and second line of defense for them to continuously monitor that process. We'll dive a little bit more into this when I talk about combined assurance as well. So that was for continuous audit. The second way they want to improve your sleep hours is to make your audit more efficient, basically allowing you to do more audits with less time. I'm just going to pull all this up right here. These are 4 of the key areas or activities that tends to take up the most time for people. Quick raise of hands again. How many of you here spend a lot of time on PBC lists? Anyone? I know there's a few clients here, not that many. How many of you spend majority of your time on audit review? People are shy, not really responding. How about following our open issues? Does that take a lot of time? Yes, I see a lot more people nodding their heads. And generating audit reports. Basically taking whatever you have in your working papers and then writing an audit report again. Do a lot of you do that manually today? Takes a lot of time, right? So when we look at driving audit efficiency, we want to be able to provide customers, provide auditors with the ability to automate all of these different processes here, right? Whether it is allowing you to standardize and reuse your audit working papers, whether it is allowing you to collaborate online, especially nowadays everybody is working hybrid, work from home, etc. And so how do you collaborate with your different auditees, your stakeholders, other auditors, etc.? How do you, it keeps pulling out too, but that's fine. How do you actually automate the tracking of issues? So instead of writing all your issues down, keep track of the due date in Excel, link them to different action plan, and then email your auditees who never ever reply, by the way, how do you automate that process? Let a robot, chase people for you, basically, so you don't have to chase people. And then, of course, providing people with the ability with one click to generate an audit report. Because you've already done the work, right? Your audit findings, your conclusions, your information, your reviews, your issues, everything is written in your working papers. Why are we spending time creating another audit report, right? That should be automated. Now, some people would say, oh, we have our own template. And that is where whichever vendor that you choose, that you work with, they have to be able to use your template to generate your audit report for you automatically as well. And then the last bit, then what people call combined assurances, right? How do you actually bring in the three lines of defense to work together? So the model we spoke about earlier on with continuous data assurance and continuous monitoring, that's very empowering. That allows internal audit to basically give the power of assurances of controls monitoring to the first and second line of defense. A few things to note here. It sounds really good in practice. A lot of first line of defense don't want to do it. A lot. So one of the advice we always give to customers is that don't try and do everything. Look for the department that's your best buddy, your best friend, right? Start with one department first. It could be procurement, it could be finance, it could be IT. For different companies, each of you have different relationships here. Just work with the one they're closest with. Once they start seeing some results, they talk to other departments, you will slowly get your win there. Start small. Don't try and start across too many process areas. It doesn't work. That's the first piece of advice that we have for customers. The second thing, then yes, efforts are reduced, right, when you pass on to the first line of defense. But the risk here being that as you build out this program for the first line of defense, you cannot overstep your objectivity. As well, there are certain recommendations you might want to give, but you need to stay objective as an auditor. So that's the second thing to watch out for. The third thing being that what you're going to see yourself eventually, right, in this model here is that instead of trying to look for, split POs, duplicate invoices, all that, instead of auditing that, you'll find that you're going to spend actually more time auditing the continuous monitoring program and how it has been set up by the first line of defense. You tackle at program level to help them ensure their controls are in place. When external auditors come, they are ready to defend themselves. They have a very strong defensible program that they can put in front of the different audit firms. That's where you get value. And that's where you free up time to provide more strategic advisory to your organizations as well. So there's a few things to consider here when you want to do something like this, right? When you want to go through an audit digital transformation. And some of these are pretty, I would say some seem pretty basic, but these are very, very important things. It keeps pulling out too, but anyway. The first thing being what I call built-in connectors. So any tool, and of course I'm biased, I come from Diligent, but any tools that you use has to allow you to pull data from many different sources. You cannot be restricted just to SAP or just to Oracle. All of you here have many, many different systems in your environment. It has to work with everything. The second thing being that it has to be purpose-built for internal auditor. Now, why do I say this? I've seen so many clients audit go to IT. Oh, I need to put in a continuous audit program. I need data analytics. IT asks them, can you use Power BI? Can you use Tableau? Can you use Qlik? No. Why? Because they are not built for auditors. Simple as that, right? When you have a purpose-built audit solution with one click, right? You need to be able to do things like fuzzy duplicates, Benford's law, really very audit assurance type of capabilities that has to be there with one click. You don't want to have to build different codes, different capabilities within something like some of the other IT software that is there. They are great for analyzing sales trend, financial trend. They are not great for auditors, period. It has to be self-service. The moment you have to start relying on IT for everything, when it comes to managing the analytics program, it's an uphill battle because IT by nature, they don't tend to, a lot of them anyway, they don't tend to support audit as much as they sometimes should. So when you're queuing up waiting for other departments, they always tell you, we got no time. We are busy. We got no time. Put in the request. My boss need to approve, etc., etc. You have to be self-service. You have to be able to do it yourself. Easy to implement. This is straightforward. A software should take a month to implement, no more. A week to implement. It should not take a year to implement. I'll leave it as that. Easy to use is subjective, but it is something that I think some of you grow using Excel. It's something that you have to know how to use very quickly. Auditors have to know how to use quickly, and more importantly, auditors that you're going to hire in future know how to use very quickly as well. But of course, not everything is great. There are always challenges, problems that people face when they want to do something like this as well. I am going to click one more time and I'm going to get the next two things out again. Yeah, anyway. The first thing being management buy-in. It is extremely difficult to convince management to give you more money to do something like that, to get their support to do it. So it's kind of chicken and egg thing, but this leads up to having a bigger vision, providing a more strategic advisory role, like to, again, Pat Byron's point earlier on, looking at things like ESG, etc. Tackle a risk area that matters to your management. If your management is worried about cybersecurity, when you are talking continuous monitoring to them, then don't start with payments. Start with cybersecurity. Look at IT access control. If your organization just had some massive procurement issue, start with that. Start with the topic that matters most to your CEO, CFO. Again, what matters to them, not just what matters to you as well. You get your buy-in so much more quicker. Team scale, so this is the easier one that, sometimes customers think this is a barrier. I think this is, in a way, the easier one to overcome because people can be trained. As long as they have the right attitude, they have the right aptitude, it's very easy to train them. More importantly, we want people who are curious. If you want to do data analytics, they have to be curious what kind of analytics they can do. But that's the easy bit. Independence as well. So you have different regulations, etc. So you need to have independence in terms of what you build. And it cannot be, this goes back to IT, it cannot be dictated by IT, it cannot be built by somebody else. It has to be independent. Because if you're auditing IT and IT is building the analytics for you, then that kind of loses the whole independence and the whole idea anyway. All right. Budget, same thing. Prior to COVID, people have challenges getting budget, etc., etc. A bit of a sales plug here. We promise to be reasonably priced for every single person here. That's my personal commitment to you because we are in the business to really make sure that as many people benefit from a program like this as possible. We are not trying to be the high and mighty. We are trying to democratize the power of continuous audit for auditors. And the last bit, then access to data. So there's a lot of strategies around it. IT will often say no. They'll tell you they're worried about security, this and that. That's a conversation that your vendor should be able to have with IT to see what's the best strategy to actually get access to data. Let your vendors do the hard work. Don't take it on yourself. And with that, I leave you with three things here. The first thing being that in order to sleep more, if we look at that 40% of financial risk and compliance risk, simply because they're such a big focus, they've been done so many times, right, over the course of, 80 years of audit history, and you have been doing it so much. They are the easiest one to automate, to make it repeatable. Financial, IT, assess, procurement, etc., HR, payroll, quickest one for you to do that. And this will then allow you to also spend more time to provide insights to your management team and your board. As you are the one with the power of data analytics, you have the power to uncover risk and opportunities to your board that other people don't. You understand the business process, right? Finance understand finance, IT understand IT, sales understand sales. You will be the only people who understand everything. You will be that unique advisor to the CEO that no one else can be. And lastly, of course, to actually allow you to do more and sleep more. With that, I end my session, and I guess we're almost done for the day. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Dan selanjutnya, please remain on stage because I would like to invite Bapak Rama Kurnia to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Doslim. Baik, terima kasih sekali lagi kami ucapkan kepada Bapak Rama Kurnia, and thank you for your presentation, Mr. Doslim, Head of Enterprise Business Division. Baik, Bapak Ibu sekalian, kita sudah mengikuti seluruh rangkaian acara kita di hari pertama ini. Dan tentunya Bapak Ibu sekalian, kami dapat informasikan untuk hari esok kita akan mulai lagi di sesi kedua atau hari kedua pukul 8.30 waktu Bali. Sekali lagi kita akan memulai lagi besok jam 8.30 waktu Bali di ruangan ini, di ballroom ini, ballroom yang sama. Dan juga kembali kami ingatkan Bapak Ibu sekalian untuk nanti malam pukul 17, maksud kami pukul 19 WITA atau pukul 7 malam ya. Semua nanti akan diundang untuk mengikuti gala dinner yang akan dilaksanakan di ballroom ini. Akan ada penampilan dari Pongki Barata and the Dangerous dan juga akan ada door prize lagi loh Bapak Ibu sekalian. Dan tentunya kami mohon kesediaan Bapak Ibu sekalian semuanya untuk dapat berpartisipasi dan menghadiri acara gala dinner tersebut. Baik, kami juga mengingatkan Bapak Ibu sekalian untuk mengisi survei National Audit Internal secara lengkap melalui aplikasi Netcon dan juga ada 4 bagian ya Bapak Ibu sekalian. Jadi nanti Bapak Ibu sekalian yang sudah mengisi survei tersebut bisa mengambil souvenir yang mulai dibagikan esok hari di meja registrasi Bapak Ibu sekalian. Jadi kami mohon untuk partisipasinya mengisi survei secara lengkap dan nanti dapatkan souvenir dari kami yang akan mulai kami bagikan esok hari di meja registrasi. Dan juga kembali kami mengingatkan Bapak Ibu sekalian jangan lupa follow akun Instagram kami di @iia_Indonesia. Kami mohon juga untuk dapat post foto keseruan kita pada hari ini di akun Instagram masing-masing dan kami mohon untuk tidak mengunci atau akunnya jangan di lock Bapak Ibu sekalian ya. Nah, tag dan mention juga ke akun IIA Indonesia yaitu @IIA_Indonesia dengan mencantumkan hashtag yaitu IIA Netcon 2022. Dan tentunya dapatkan souvenir menarik, ada 5 pemenang yang nanti akan kami umumkan untuk postingan yang terbaik dan juga dengan like terbanyak. Untuk postingan ini sendiri akan kami tunggu hingga esok hari pukul 14 WITA waktu Bali sekali lagi. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian terima kasih banyak. Akhir kata saya Nana Viana mengucapkan sekali lagi terima kasih banyak. Sampai jumpa di Gala Dinner IIA Indonesia, Impactful Internal Audit in a Changing World. Sampai jumpa.